Hello, I'm Eric Rano and this is a video for tipsquirrel.com, the free website for everything Photoshop. In this video, I'll be taking a look at my favourite features of the brand new Photoshop CC 2014. Let's jump in and see what's what. So first of all, of course, it's the name that's changed. It's CC 2014, so we all know now where we're at and whether we're up to date. And it's good for those taking the Photoshop exams, of course. We know whether we are up to date with our exams. So that's the first big change. Let's have a look at some of the features now. So here I am in Photoshop CC 2014. All the images that I'm using today come from Fotolia, the stock photography community. And this one is of a gentleman taking photographs, what looks to be the Blackpool Tower perhaps, maybe not. Anyway, I'd like to select him, and Photoshop CC 2014 makes that very, very easy. All I have to do is go up to select and then focus area. And what this does is it analyzes the image and then selects what's in focus. So let's click on that and see it go. Off it goes, it starts to work. You'll notice we've got a 3 here. Now that's going to change, I expect, because Photoshop's going to try and adjust itself. And there we go, we've got a selection made. Now it's not a great selection. If I go over to the overlay here, we can see we've missed a bit, but that's okay. I just get my plus brush and just tell Photoshop very roughly, you've missed a bit here and here, and maybe a little bit on his ear. I didn't mean to make that rhyme, my apologies. Now that bit on his ear there, maybe I can bring this slider up a little bit and that'll cure that. There we go. Let's have a look. Not quite. Let's dab that in. There we are. Does its work, and there we go. Alright, and we're done. Now there's a little bit missing around his hair. I could go into refine edge if I wished, but I can also just dab it here. Now if you use the quick selection tool, this might seem a little bit redundant. But what this does very well is it draws people off of a background, maybe in a studio, and then it is very, very quick indeed. For this, it was a bit more complicated, but you get the general idea. Let's click OK there, and off it goes, and there's my selection. Let's have a look at something else. So here I've got this different image, and what I'm going to do is add some blurs to these using the new ones in the blur gallery. Now this is already a smart object. It doesn't have to be, but of course it works well with a smart object. And I'm going to go and use the spin blur. Now if you've ever used radial blur, you'll know how difficult it can be. But as you can see here, we can do this all in real time. There's a little transition period between the two there that I'm sorting out. It works the same as the other blurs in the blur gallery, whereas we've got these pins in the middle and we can adjust how much of a blur we have. There we go, let's go and put another one in there. No more guesswork as to where the center of the blur wants to be. There we go. Let's bring that one up just a little bit. And there we are. Now I'm not going to take a great deal of time over this, but you get the general idea how quick we can do this. Now you may be thinking you've made the car move, Eric, but there's nobody driving it. Well, you're absolutely wrong. There is a little old lady sitting there. You can't see her because she's behind this wing mirror probably, I expect. Alright, let's move on. There is another new blur. It's called Path Blur, and we can make this car move now. So here's the Path Blur. Let's open that one up. And let's add one in. There we go. We've got this one all ready to go. Now this is a bit like motion blur. That's the direction of the motion, and we can make this longer. We'll see why in just a moment. But you'll also notice there's a point in the middle there. I can bend this around. So I can bend this to the shape of what I need. I can add points in as well, just very quickly doing this. And you'll see it works very nicely indeed, a bit like a Bezier curve. And we've made our car move a bit. But the problem is the background's moving as well, of course. So I'm going to take another arrow. I'm going to draw it from there, and I'm going to draw it across the car. But then, of course, I can then, I can then bring this one up, and maybe put in a couple more points just to bend it around the car a little bit. Let's put an anchor point in there. Again, I'm not going to spend too long. I just want to give you the general idea of what you can do here. I'm going to go on this end arrow and put the end point speed at 0, and then this end speed at 0, so you can see how you can make things speed up or slow down throughout the path. And let's bring that one right the way down as well. So now we've lost a little bit of the blur on the top of the car, but like with so many things in Photoshop, if I highlight that one, press Alt and Command or Alt and Control, I get this double arrow, which means I can move that up. We have the same settings, and I can come in and just bend this, put this where I want it to be. Whoops, a daisy. There we go. Let's get the right one this time. Up. Try again. There we go. A little bit too close to it. There we are. And I can bend this one around the car as well to keep it moving. As easy as that. Let's put it one more down the bottom. There we go. And that's going to be 0 as well on the two end points. And we've made our car move. Now I would like to spend a little bit more time on this, of course, but it's so much easier than it has been in the past. Let's click OK. And there we go. We have our moving car with my grandmother driving it, I expect. All right, let's move on. If you set out a lot of things on a page, maybe a contact sheet, or you do some web design, you're going to love this new feature. I've got 3 images here of lions, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to just move them around. So let's pick this one at the bottom here, this one, and I start dragging it around. You'll see very quickly that we get these purple lines. If you use some of the other Creative Cloud apps, you'll recognize these. These are smart guides. So right there, I know that the top of this layer is level with the middle of that middle layer. It doesn't have to be an adjacent layer. If I move it across here, then we're aligned the left hand edge with the middle of the words some images, and I can keep going and line them up as much as I like. Let's bring that one down the bottom, and then I can go and get this one that's at the top there and click and drag him down, and you can see that I can very quickly make sure that they're all lined up, and then one more, take that one up to the top there and centralize it. Done it very, very quickly indeed. Now you may know that there's a keyboard shortcut of pressing the Control or the Command key when you've got the Move tool selected, and that'll select whatever layer is below. So if I come onto this image and I press Control or Command and click, then I've selected that layer. But you may have noticed that those purple lines came up again. So I'm going to press the Command key or the Control key, and you'll see there that I've got this bounding box. But if I come outside, you'll see how it's in relationship to the rest of the image. And I can come round and I can see all kinds of information. If I let go of Command and then just press Command again over here, I can just start looking again. It's as easy as that. Lots of really cool information. Now there's a couple more bits that I feel that I should mention. I won't demonstrate them, but I'll mention them to you here. Let's first of all, let's go and have a look at the brushes. Brushes now have the most recently used brushes at the top of the palette there. You may notice that there's a colour around the generally selected box, and that's the one that is selected. That's quite helpful. The different colours denote whether the brush preset has been changed or not. Let's close that down. Let's come across and have a look at the colour here. Now colour, you're going to like this, I'm sure of it. If I click and I drag down, yep, it's adjustable size. We've now got a colour picker, the size that we want it. How cool is that? Let's close that down. Bring up the swatches. Most recent swatches now at the top. I do like that feature. And then one last thing, which is my absolute favourite. And if this is important to you, you're going to love this. If not, then, you're probably going to wonder what all the fuss about. But let me double click on some images. And now I want to change the font. Now if I come up here and click on the font, you'll see that it's changed a little bit. We've got 2 new icons. This icon here will filter out everything except the Typekit fonts. And its partner on the other side will head off and go and find more Typekit fonts for us. Now while we're here, I'll just mention, if you've got a PSD from someone else with some fonts that aren't on your system, then don't panic. You don't get that warning anymore. It'll just go off and get the fonts from Typekit that you need and come back. And if it isn't a Typekit font, it will get something it thinks is similar. So that's quite helpful and keeps you going through your workflow. One last thing, and this is without doubt the best update to Photoshop CC we have seen this time round. You may want to argue that, but this is my favourite. If I come down onto the list of fonts, we can then see a representation of what my text will look like with that font. I'm not changing the font. It's not like using the down and up arrows. we're just seeing what it would look like with that font. Sure enough, if I come off and close that down, I'm back to where I was. But I couldn't see all the font there. I couldn't see all my type. Don't panic. Here we go. It's also available here. We can just come down and choose a font, and it won't actually change it until we click down. Let's find one. There we go. And now we've changed our font, but we saw a representation of it. I'm so happy. I'm Eric Rano. Thank you very much for joining me here. Go and investigate all the new changes to Photoshop CC 2014. There is a whole host of them. We've just scratched the surface here. I'll see you again next time. Bye-bye for now.